was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. And yeah, I mean, I think I probably suffer from some OCD as well.
Welcome back, you guys. And do you remember Royce White? He was the Houston Rockets' first-round pick back in 2012, but he never played one regular season game for them. Royce White was definitely talented enough to be on an NBA roster, so why is he out of the league already? You guys know the deal. If you haven't subbed to the channel yet, definitely do that to keep up with my basketball videos. Now let's talk about Royce White's journey to the NBA, why he's out of the league, and what he is doing right now. When Royce White was a teenager, he was diagnosed with generalized anxiety and obsessive-compulsive disorder, and that diagnosis affected his basketball career and would change his life forever. As a high school basketball player, he was rated as one of the best power forwards in the country, and he decided to stay home for school, so he committed to Minnesota. But he never played one game for Minnesota, and his time there wasn't too great. Royce was under indefinite suspension from the team because he was charged with theft and disorderly conduct at the Mall of America. Royce ended up leaving the university after he was being investigated for stealing a laptop, so he transferred to play basketball for the Iowa State Cyclones. So what is Royce's play style? Well, he's a 6'8", 260-pound point forward. He was a smart passer and could initiate offense if he needed to. Royce is really athletic and mobile for a guy at his size. In his one season at Iowa State, he led the team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. Royce was by far their best player, and he led them to a win in the NCAA tournament. Even though some teams thought he was a risk because of his off-the-court issues and his anxiety disorder, Royce had a unique play style that put him in the first round of a lot of mock drafts, so he decided to leave school after 1 year and declare for the draft. So with the 16th pick of the 2012 NBA draft, the Houston Rockets selected him, but he never played one regular season game for the Rockets. Now you see in the title that there are quotes around the fear of flying part. Well, it's not just because he's afraid of heights. The real issue is that Royce's anxiety disorder is magnified when he is in the air. In high school, he sometimes had panic attacks when traveling by plane, and if there's turbulence, he said he would be scared out of his mind. So before the start of the NBA season in 2012, Royce wanted to take his time adjusting to NBA life because of his disorder. He did not show up to media day or the first week of training camp because he wanted the team's permission to travel to away games on a bus because he would be able to manage his anxiety a bit easier. He did fly with the team at Iowa State, but he says that he was uncomfortable for those flights. He took Benadryl and Xanax to help, but Royce said it affected his overall energy. The flying schedule in the NBA is a lot more frequent than in college, so it was going to be rough for him. Royce is quoted saying, "To go from 20 to 98 flights, which is the NBA's travel schedule, is too much exposure for someone with a phobia." When you think of injuries in the NBA, you think of someone dealing with a knee issue, but Royce's injury was not physical, it's a mental one, and he wanted the NBA to address it with a policy. He tried getting a meeting with David Stern so they could have a mental health policy, but he never got the meeting. There was not a policy for it in the NBA, and the Rockets were trying their best to accommodate him without following a certain league standard. But the situation with the Rockets never got any better over the season. They were at odds with each other on how to handle the situation. He said that the Rockets were inconsistent with the agreement to help him with his anxiety disorder. He tweeted a bunch of times back in November 2012 about the Rockets and the NBA's mental health policy that created an ugly public dispute. Royce ended up getting suspended later in the season because the Rockets said he was not fulfilling his contract. He never showed up for his D-League assignment because Royce says that they did not allow mental health professionals there. He did play a few games for Houston's D-League team, but he eventually returned to Houston at the advice of a team doctor. His time in Houston was not working out, and they traded him in the summer of 2013 to the Sixers, but he was waived before the end of the season. No team signed him for a few months, but the Kings gave him a shot on a 10-day contract in March 2014. He played 3 games with the Kings and they gave him another 10-day deal, but they did not sign him after that. So what is Royce doing right now? He's 26 years old, and back in December 2016, he signed with the London Lightning of the National Basketball League of Canada. In his first season there, they built the entire offense around him, and he did pretty well. Royce set the NBL record for triple-doubles, won the Most Valuable Player award, and led the Lightning to win the league championship. He averaged 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. He was playing up to the potential that he had when he was drafted by the Rockets. Even though Royce is a team-first guy, the MVP award was really special to him because of his journey up to that point. He didn't know if the Canada League was going to work out. He did not know if he'd be healthy, but it worked out for him. He hadn't played competitive basketball in over a year, so this was big for him. And that is it for Royce White's NBA career. What do you guys think? He definitely had a lot of skill as a 6'8" point forward, but his NBA career is probably done. Royce is doing something really important with the mental health conversation, but calling out the league and your organization on Twitter as a rookie who hasn't produced on the court yet probably won't keep you in the NBA too long. His disorder and the NBA's lack of mental health policy at the time kept him from having a long NBA career. I appreciate it if you made it to the end of the video. Pretty interesting story. If you want to, follow me on Twitter. I do tweet when the games are on at night. I know this is kind of a sensitive topic. I tried to just talk about what both sides were saying. Royce is doing a lot of good stuff to bring awareness to mental health. As always, like, subscribe, and don't hesitate to drop a comment of a video I should do in the future, and I'll see